All right, and welcome to Not Suitable for Adults. We're a podcast, and on this podcast, we spend lots of time looking at children's films and the creative.
Wow.
It's for kids shows and movies.
Yeah, that wasn't working.
Sometimes you gotta mix it up. You gotta try something new, right?
Well, okay.
No? Anyway, this is Not Suitable for Adults. I'm Rich.
I'm Natalie.
And I wanted to start this week off with a little bit of an update because I am still watching She-Ra. And I actually had some people reach out on Twitter this week and they were like, I'm so glad you're reviewing She-Ra. Tell us more when you know more. And so I'm doing that now.
Great. Do it. The people have spoken.
Yes. The people are in control of the show. That sounded bad. I meant that in a good way because we asked for feedback and now we're doing it. I'm up to the middle of season 4 of She-Ra, and there's 5 seasons. And that sounds like I've watched a lot of it, and I have, but also seasons 2 and 3 are really short. And so it's not as much as it sounds like.
Yeah, last week when you talked about it, you were just like on season 2, right?
I had finished season 1.
When are you finding this time?
I'm just watching it in the evening time, so I'm just sitting around.
Y'all, I go to bed like really early.
Yeah, Natalie's been getting up especially early lately to do her teaching job, and that means she's falling asleep very early in the night times.
I've been getting up anywhere from 2 to 4 a.m. lately and staying up until 8 a.m. and then coming back to bed for
Going
like
back
2
to bed
hours.
for 2 or 3 hours. Yeah. Which is great. That's what you need to do, and it's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, so when I'm up at night, I watch a lot of TV and movies, and part of what I do is watch She-Ra lately. So, here's what I know now about She-Ra. First of all, I said the wrong thing. A couple of wrong things last week, so I wanted to fix them. I said that the animation style was like Powerpuff Girls, but like a more grown-up version of that, and that's not right.
Okay.
When I went back and I was looking, I was like, I don't know why I said that. Like, it was popping into my head at the time, but that's not quite right. It's this sort of modern Netflix cartoon drawing style. I don't know if you've seen, and it's not like this show at all, but this is actually.
So you're going to compare it to another show.
I'm going to compare it to another show.
So next week you can say, no, it's not like that,
But it's
actually.
more like this. It's more like sort of, it's hard to explain, but it looks like there's a fixed background a lot of times, and then they're like moving drawings on front of that. And not like they keep the same background in every shot, but it's like they have a separate. It's almost like another cartoon is green screened on top of a background.
Is it kind of like, that kind of reminds me of the Teen Titans type.
Yeah, kind of.
Is it kind of like that?
It does, yeah, again, it doesn't look like that. I'll tell you what it kind of reminds me of is, and I haven't watched a lot of this show, but have you seen that show? I think it's a Netflix show called BoJack Horseman.
I have seen of it. I have not seen it.
You know what the drawings look like for
Yeah.
that show?
Yeah.
That's kind of what the drawings, I think, look like for this show. And it's a mix with trying to go for an 80s aesthetic.
Right.
To a lot of the drawings because it's meant to be related to He-Man and the Masters of the Universe in the 80s. Mm-hmm. So that's the one thing. The second thing I said was that they're on a planet called Eternia, which they are in the 80s version. And this one, they're on a planet called Etheria, which I'm now learning is important. There are a bunch of different planets and like...
Elastica.
Yeah.
I'm thinking of all the words.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I could only think of Elastica.
Just Elastica?
Eternia, Etheria, and Elastica.
Yep.
Electra.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So they're on Etheria, and here's what I know now. So some interesting things. I think I mentioned before that there have been a lot of She-Ras before this She-Ra. And so now it turns out that the last She-Ra was like 1,000 years before Adora. And her name was Mara.
Oh, I thought they were always named Adora. I
Nope,
think you said that last week.
Well, it was just that the only two She-Ras I knew about had been named Adora as their real life name. But no, so the previous one was named Mara, and she was from another planet, another place, and came to Etheria and became She-Ra, and decided she needed to protect this world.
They like words that end in don't they?
They do, because Adora, Mara, Catra, there's a lot of
She-Ra.
Something Raz. Yeah.
Yes, lots of Raz.
So there's that. I think it was in season 3, Glimmer, and this is all spoilers, folks, so just, if you haven't watched She-Ra, you gotta go watch it before you listen to all this.
If you're planning on watching it.
Yeah. So in season 3, I believe it is, Adora's friend Glimmer, her mother, passes. Mm-hmm. There is a giant portal that gets opened to this other realm, where one of the big bad, who he seems like he's going to be the big, I think his name's Hordak. He's like he's the even shadowier person above the Horde. And he wants to, and it turns out
the person in charge of the Horde is called Hordak.
Oh yeah, I guess so. I didn't even think of that.
They need some work on their naming in this
No,
show.
That's the very 80s thing about it.
Okay.
I think that's what's so 80s about it. So he wants to open this portal because they're in like a bubble universe, and he wants to get back out because he's a clone brother of this larger horde that's out in the rest of the universe, and he's trying to get back to them and like show off what a good job he's done, which hasn't been a great job.
Okay.
And so he wants to open this portal, and they start to open it, but it turns out that Mara, the previous She-Ra, had done something to make it where portals were going to destroy the world. And he didn't realize it. And so they open the portal.
That was a bad move on Mara's part.
No, she did it on purpose because she didn't want to.
And then didn't warn anyone?
No, then they killed her. Then she died. Like she was trying to save the world, and then she died before she could do more.
Oh.
Yeah, don't besmirch Mara's good name.
No, it's fine. You have to understand, I heard, Mara made it so that portals destroyed the world. And nobody knew.
Okay, that's fair. So, well, yeah, so they didn't know because she was working kind of by herself at the end, and then got trapped and wasn't able to.
That's why people need partners.
Mm-hmm, you need a sidekick.
Lone wolves, you guys have all the information in your brains. You need to have somebody to bounce ideas off of.
So Adora's on the verge of saving the day, and Catra comes in, and Catra's kind of crazy at this point. She really needs to prove herself, and she wants to be now the leader of the Horde. And she actually is the one that throws the switch and opens the portal. And there's this mirror universe episode where it's as if everything went perfectly. And it turns out that opening the portal sort of shifted reality to the way that Catra wants it to be. But nothing's as perfect as it seems.
Never.
And so they figure out that they need to, it's She-Ra's sword that's powering the whole thing. And if they can pull it out of the portal, it'll shut the portal down. But whoever does that is going to be left behind. And so Adora's all ready to do it. And Glimmer's mother, who is Queen Angela, and she has wings. Just get over it.
Okay.
She has wings. She comes in. She's like, no, I can't let you do that. And she does this really nice speech about how, like, her husband was a very brave guy and he died, like, in battle.
Is the speech happening while the portal is open? And
They're standing under it and they're looking at it, and she's doing a speech.
Great. Yes. That always makes me super happy to see.
So she's like, no, I've always been the coward. Glimmer and her father were the brave ones. Now I need to do something brave. And she flies up and she throws the sword back down to Adora, and then she's gone. She gone.
Okay.
And so after that, so at the beginning of season 4, Glimmer is the queen. So now it's Queen Glimmer. And in this episode, or in this season, the big thing is that now that Glimmer is the queen, there's a little bit of tension between Adora and Glimmer. Because who's really the most in charge in their relationship now? Because it was kind of Glimmer kind of knew a lot about the world, but really Adora was the leader of the group because she's She-Ra. But now it's like, but now I'm the queen, and shouldn't I be kind of in charge? And now the Horde is sort of playing them against each other. It's really very, it's very fun. I'm enjoying the show a lot. I really don't feel like I have to. I feel like it's the kind of thing, y'all, I could just stop watching it and not talk about it anymore. I could go, yeah, it seems like it's a great show and be done with it, but I want to see the whole thing because it's actually a lot of fun.
But also, you have the personality, and I'm
a completionist.
not like this. Yes.
Yeah.
You have to see, especially a TV show or a movie, if you're watching it, even if it's something that you're not particularly enjoying at the time, you have to finish it.
That's fair.
Yeah. Me, I'm like, I'm kind of over this. Like, 3 seasons into The Walking Dead. Or, and I'm just like, it was more than 3 seasons. It was probably like 5 seasons. I don't know how many seasons there are, like 1 million. But I can kind of easily give up, especially like a TV show, because I can very easily get burnt out. And you and I have had to figure that out because you want to watch the thing and watch it all in one day. And I'm like, if I watch it all in one day, I'm going to hate it by the end of the day.
Yeah, no, you're right. But this isn't that. This is, I actually am enjoying it.
Great.
And I want to keep watching. It's the one show that I didn't do that with. And I still don't know why. And I don't feel compelled to go find it, even though I really like the show.
Uh-huh.
Do you know what show it was?
No.
24.
Oh.
I watched every episode of 24 except the last one.
You mean like in the original
season? The original series, not like the...
okay. Every episode except for the last...
The series finale of the original 24 with Kiefer Sutherland, I didn't watch the last episode. I missed it, and I never went back and found it, and I've been like, oh well. Even though I really like 24.
That's pretty funny.
So anyway, I'll probably finish She-Ra this week. And I'll give a final wrap up on it. But it is a lot of fun. I will say the other thing that I noticed, and this was like a thing about myself that sort of clicked and changed with the show. And it's not, I don't know if it's because the show is especially good or if it's just that they did this thing in the show very well. I was watching like somewhere, it was just a couple of days ago. I was thinking to myself, man, I really like this show. There's so many female characters and almost no male characters. There's Bo, who I told you about, and there's another guy whose name I'm forgetting. It's like Seahawk or something, and he's like a pirate wannabe. He's as silly as he sounds. He's always like singing sea shanties and stuff. And there's this one male Horde member who they pick on, and his name's Kyle.
Out of all the names.
And he looks like a 13-year-old boy, and every time something goes wrong, I'm like, Kyle, come on!
out of all the names.
Yeah.
I love it. Kyle.
So I'm watching the show, and
I'm going to start saying that, by the way, if I see
Come on, Kyle.
Come on, Kyle. Right now I say Jerry. I was like, freaking Jerry. Like,
oh yeah, from Parks and Rec.
But now I'm going to go, come on, Kyle.
So I'm watching the show, and there's all these characters, and they're all pretty good characters. I like them all, but I was sitting there, I was going, man, there's a lot of female characters. It just seems unlikely that there'd be so many. Not that like there's not more men in charge around here, but just that there's not more dudes around. And then I realized, oh, okay, this is doing a riff on like Masters of the Universe and G.I. Joe, where it's like I realized that there's probably some female folks out there, some lady folks who are watching shows like that and enjoying them and going, it seems like there should be more girls in this.
Oh, yeah.
And like, why wouldn't there just be more?
Is it similar to like the Wonder Woman universe? I'm curious.
Oh, like where they're on an island
from and
They don't talk about it, and I think...
Are there children?
There are children.
So they have to procreate somehow.
Yeah, there's men around.
It's not like they don't exist. It's just that.
But of the characters that exist on the show, there's like 20 characters that interact with each other in the show, and 3 of them are men. And so...
Who wants to be with Kyle?
Yeah, and Kyle barely counts. Actually, Kyle really, really stands up for himself in one episode, and it's kind of cool, actually. But I saw that, and I was like, okay, like... Mm-hmm. It wasn't something that was bugging me. It's just something I noticed. And then I realized, okay, well, yeah, there's plenty of shows out there that are like mostly dudes running around and just one, like I said, the one ditzy girlfriend that's in the group to be like the comic relief. And so I was like, okay, fair. Like fair exchange. Totally.
Yeah, for sure.
Anyway, that's my update on She-Ra.
Yeah. And, we will maybe talk about this again. Maybe next weekend is Father's Day, so we need to and we're going to be traveling, so we kind of need to figure that out, and we'll let you guys know. But in the next couple of weeks, we may talk about the movie we just watched.
Oh, yeah.
Artemis Fowl. We just watched it on Disney+, and so if you're interested in that,
go review. Watch it so we can spoil it.
Right. My straight up opinion was I was really excited about it in the beginning, probably for the first 20 minutes, maybe. And then after that, it just kind of slowly went downhill for me personally.
Yeah, there's a chance. So Artemis Fowl, we're not doing a full review on it right now, but Artemis Fowl is based on a book series, and it's possible I imagine that if you read the books, then the kind of story turn that it takes is less of a, oh, well, okay.
Okay.
But no, and I'm not saying that to you, I'm just saying, like, people watching it, you may watch it and go, no, this is exactly what happens in the book.
I meant more of, like, movie quality, actually.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
But anyway, we'll talk about that another time. So
yeah, and then one other thing I want to go ahead and start setting up now, because I decided last night I was going to do this.
Oh dear.
I don't know if you saw, I tweeted about it too. So for my birthday, which is at the end of this month, I'm getting this musical instrument called a J-horn, made by a company called Nuvo, and it occurred to me last night that thing that I'm getting that I want for myself for my birthday is not intended for adults. And so I'm actually going to it'll kind of be an unusual thing, but I'm going to like spend some time with it, and then I'm going to review the J-horn.
Okay.
So for parents who are interested, if you're not familiar, Nuvo is a company that makes sort of introductory and pre-band instruments other than like recorders. Mm-hmm. So if you're a parent with a young kid of like elementary school age or thereabouts, you are familiar, I'm sure, with recorders. But so they make some pre-band instruments like based on clarinets and flutes, and now based on brass instruments, and the brass lookalike instrument is called the J-horn. And I played brass all through elementary school, middle and high school, and college. And so I'm really excited to have like this little thing that I can kind of noodle around on, because it works exactly like my old baritone did. But yeah, so I'm gonna, once I've had a chance to play with that, so that'll probably be in July sometime. But just know we're going to do a little unusual parenting review.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure plenty of our listeners are, thinking about extracurricular activities and, music lessons and stuff like that. So this could be a good review to have in your back pocket whenever your kids start thinking about that.
Yeah, so look for that in probably the next month or so.
Great.
So, on to the meat and potatoes of this episode of Not Suitable for Adults. Mm-hmm. But first, we should probably take a pit stop, maybe, in Promoville.
All right. It's a beautiful day in Promoville, a beautiful day for a promo. Could you please listen to this promo?
I am Leighton.
And I am Christy.
And this is Cheers to Parenting,
a couple's guide to parenthood. On this bi-monthly podcast, we'll pull a topic from our parenting tip jar and then discuss,
using parenting skills we've learned over the years of parenting our 3 children,
which combined gives us 60-plus years experience with the good, bad, and ugly of parenthood.
Perfect kids?
Nope.
Expert parenting?
Absolutely not. But it's worked for us. Give us a listen at anchor.fm/cheers to parenting pod. Advice from birth
until you get them off your payroll.
And we're back. We're going to, this week, instead of doing a question of the day, we decided to both sort of do a retrospective.
Yes.
On shows that we both watched when we were younger. We watched very different shows when we were kids.
Yes, it's a personal retrospective. It's not a Rich and Natalie retrospective. It's Natalie's review of a show I watched and Rich's review of a show he watched, and the other person did not watch these shows growing up.
Yeah, I think we're both familiar with each other's shows, but I didn't spend almost any time with yours, and you certainly didn't watch mine.
No.
All right, so Natalie, kick us off.
Yeah. So funny that you would say this is the meat and potatoes of the show, because I'm going to talk to you about veggies.
Tell us some tales. Tell us some tales about veggies.
How about I tell you some veggie tales?
Hey!
Okay, so you guys, I'm going to be reviewing Veggie Tales. I grew up with Veggie Tales. It was a staple in the Parker household. We had all the movies, most of the episodes, and we would sing the songs, and we would say the lines. We loved them. So if you are not familiar with Veggie Tales, it is a faith-based Christian children's franchise. So I grew up in a faith-based Christian household, and this was something that we watched a lot and we really enjoyed. So it was created by Phil Fisher and Mike Nawrocki. I always want to say Mike Wazowski.
Mike Wazowski.
Through their company called Big Idea Productions. Excuse me. And it debuted in 1993. So it was out there. It predated like Toy Story. It was one of the first to kind of do this animation style.
Yeah, because it's like almost CGI. It's like a CGI animation.
Yes.
And pretty good for its time, I would say.
Right. Yes, it is. Looking back on it, you'll go like, okay, this animation is like not awesome. But
for 93.
For 93, it was
93
legit.
Pre-Pixar. It was good.
Right. And so it released in 1993, and it went through with that particular company, 2015. Yeah. And the first 30-minute program that was released in December 1993 was Where is God When I'm Scared? And all of you VeggieTales fans will know that this is Junior Asparagus being afraid of the dark, and it's one of the best ones, I think. So VeggieTales is an animated show where all of the characters are vegetables. Bob the Tomato is a tomato, though.
Well,
they're all fruits and vegetables.
I was going to say,
except
there's some fruits.
Yes, there's some fruits. There's some vegetables.
I can talk about the one meat character on the show
also,
now.
there's a bacon guy in the more recent adaptations. But we'll talk about those in a little bit. It is distinguished as the most successful faith-based Christian children's franchise of all time.
Well, sure.
Yes. near the height of its popularity in 1999 and 2000, the videos outsold every other kids' property in the world to date, including Pokemon, Scooby-Doo, Barney. It has sold over 60 million books, 7 million music CDs, 235 million music streams.
Yeah.
It's been a big thing for a lot of people.
So, and I think part of the reason that it's very successful is that a lot of faith-based material that gets out there is very... I'm trying to think of the best way to say this, because I don't want to frame it as a negative thing necessarily, but it's very overt in its faith-basedness. Okay. So, you know what I mean? A lot of things are like that. And I think that makes it less palatable to a lot of people, including like people who were there for that. Mm-hmm. I think sometimes people can get burnt out on that. I think the cool thing that VeggieTales does, and half of what they do, has nothing to do with... It's
ethics and morality.
Returning bits like Silly Songs with Larry.
Right.
There's nothing even morality-based about
it's just silly songs.
It's just a fun thing. I think they made themselves accessible to people who wanted the religious and morality tales, and also people who just wanted a fun... diversion for their kids.
Yeah, I agree. The idea for VeggieTales was conceived in the early 90s, as I said, when Phil Vischer was testing animation software to make children's videos, and it was very limited at that time, the animation software. So he decided to avoid several hurdles by designing characters that did not have arms, legs, hair, and a lot of clothing.
Basically all the hardest stuff to animate.
Right.
Yeah.
So he first animated, his first model was an anthropomorphic candy bar.
Okay.
And his wife said that parents might prefer a hero or their children to watch their heroes promote healthier eating
snacks.
Habits. Yes.
If only the hero was a healthier snack.
Yes, so he began designing the characters based on fruits and vegetables. And also the cast of the voice actors in the very early videos were pretty much just his friends. Mm-hmm. He just got them together and was like, I'm going to try this out. And that's some of the first voices that we hear. As I mentioned, the series is about vegetables. They all live on a countertop in a house. And they all go through little dilemmas, problems that they're solving, moral issues. It is hosted by Bob the Tomato and Larry the Cucumber. Mm-hmm. And then we also have cast members, Junior Asparagus, Dad Asparagus. I'm pretty sure is just his name is Dad Asparagus. Mr. Lunt, who does... Actually, my favorite Silly Song with Larry is Love Songs with Mr. Lunt. And
he does a cheeseburger song? Yeah.
Yes, it is. I just did the chef's kiss. It's a good one. And those silly songs with Larry are usually with Larry, and they would say, this is the part of the show where Larry comes out and sings a silly song. Yes. And he would come out and he'd sing a silly song about where is his hairbrush, or
everyone wants a water buffalo.
Everyone wants a water buffalo, or say boo.
Yep, say boo. Sure.
And those are the songs that I could, even now, not having seen those original series in many, many years, still sing every single word of. And like I said, the love song with Mr. Lunt, the cheeseburger song. I think what is it called? What is the cheeseburger song actually called?
Is it just my cheeseburger?
I can't remember the exact, but it is. This is so good. So the lessons, they deal with normal, just everyday kids stuff like bullying, peer pressure, forgiveness, handling things like fear and temptation, how to listen when listening to your parents, all those sorts of things that all kids of any type of upbringing.
Yeah, everyone deals with that.
Everybody deals with that, right. So, in 2006 to 2009, there was a series called VeggieTales on TV, ! And it appeared on NBC, Telemundo, like it started becoming more
widely syndicated.
Right. And it was this VeggieTales on TV was the most watched Saturday morning program on television from 2006 to 2008.
Wow.
Somewhere in there, and I read this, and I didn't put it in my notes, but somewhere in the early 2000s, Big Idea Productions sold the rights to VeggieTales. I believe they were going through some financial difficulties. So, it was no longer a Big Idea Productions product anymore.
Yeah.
So it was sold and it started becoming a little more widespread, even though with Big Idea Productions all those years, so many kids knew of it. Now it was starting to be on TV instead of just like straight to video. And
probably wider merchandise stuff as well.
Right. With an average of 430,000 children watching each weekend from 2006 to 2007, the first 2 seasons of VeggieTales on TV allowed NBC to see a 16% ratings jump.
Wow.
Yes. Its biggest in Saturday morning's children programming since 2003.
Wow.
Yeah. So NBC got a really good
got paid?
deal. Yes. And
that
then
was terrible. I shouldn't have done that. That was a bad voice I just did.
What?
I felt like, never mind. Go ahead.
Okay. In 2009, Netflix.
Mm-hmm.
We got Netflix now. 2009. Wow. Netflix is the new big thing.
And that's how we talked in 2009. That's why I did my thing a second ago.
That's right.
Got paid.
I'm helping you feel better.
I appreciate it, baby.
You're welcome. Netflix made numerous VeggieTales videos in their uncut and original formats, and also in their 2 feature films.
Their 2 feature films, y'all.
I have been saying the word film like that for like the past week.
Yeah, just in the last week you suddenly
southernized it. I can't say the word film. I keep saying film.
It's a film.
I don't understand why that's happening. Yes, the 2 feature films were The Pirates Who Don't Do Anything. Actually, Jonah was the first one. Jonah came out in 2002, and Pirates Who Don't Do Anything came out in 2008. Did you watch those movies when they came out?
I was too old for VeggieTales in the early 2000s. I know
you know sort of the basics of this. Did you watch any of it growing up?
So I didn't watch it. I wouldn't say I watched any of it growing up, but I did because I was one of the older kids. Actually, at the church that we went to, we were at kind of a small church in New England,
right?
And so I found myself.
What up, Nashua?
That's right. I found myself taking care of a lot of the younger kids a lot, and those kids liked watching VeggieTales, and so I saw a lot of these things, but they weren't for me at that point.
Yeah. And then in 2014, the Netflix original VeggieTales video series spinoff, VeggieTales in the House, was produced by DreamWorks, and it featured the characters venturing off of the kitchen countertop and exploring new areas of the fruits and vegetables related house. So they weren't just stuck on the kitchen counter next to the sink the whole time.
Yeah.
They explored more of like the kitchen and stuff like that.
They met their friend, the Bacon Man.
Actually, I believe that is in, I'm pretty sure, I'm not 100% on this people, so, but I'm pretty sure the Bacon Man came next in
was there even more, another one?
VeggieTales in the City.
Oh, you're right.
Yes. Which they ventured to live in the city area of the house. They're always in the same house.
Yeah.
But this house has a bunch of different areas of fruit and vegetable
it's still the same characters. It's not like they were like, it's not like they left the sink counter area and were like, there's whole other civilizations out here. They just went, hey, there's more space. And they just made more things, right? Because it's other than, it seems like they didn't meet a lot of new people other than Bacon.
Right.
You know?
Oh, and his name is Bacon Bill.
Bacon Bill.
And he is the first and only meat character.
Because everything's better with bacon, people.
Bacon Bill. I had to look up his name because I had forgotten. Because, again, I'm not as familiar. Cora has watched a little bit of it. She hasn't been as interested. But I'm not as familiar in the Netflix series as I was the OG. Just a very, very quick last thing is that they, since 1997, between 1997 and 2018, VeggieTales in its different forms have won around 22 separate awards and been nominated for another 11 or 12. And that includes film festivals, GMA, Dove Awards, Parent Choice Awards, Annie Awards, mostly Parent Choice and GMA, Emmy Awards it was nominated for an Emmy Award in 2015 and 2017 for VeggieTales in the House.
Nice.
So, and the most of those they have won. And it looks like a lot of them is for their music. The music is the thing that holds the attention, I think, of the kids, and the things that the way at least I retain those memories.
Yeah, most of what you remember about VeggieTales is the songs.
Exactly. Yeah. And then the two movies that I told you about were ranked as the top 10 best box office performing faith-based films.
Way to go, VeggieTales.
Yeah. I mean, it's a really good show full of really good lessons and morals and it really fun to watch. Something you'll remember for your whole life.
Yeah.
So far I have.
Where is your hairbrush? Oh, where is your hairbrush?
Oh, where, oh, where, oh, where, oh, where. Or, he's laying on, I love my lips.
Wow.
I mean, I'll remember everything if I start going.
Yeah. Cool. Well, it's a good one. It's a recommend.
It
from
is.
Natalie's childhood.
It's a thumbs up.
The show that I'm going to talk about is a garbage show.
That is legit. It is a garbage show. I did not watch this show. My parents weren't into the idea of this show.
Neither was my mom at first.
Yeah.
When it first came out.
And I'm kind of glad because to just refresh your memory, we just watched a couple short episodes.
Yeah.
Really quickly. And I was watching, I was like, this is trash.
Here's the thing. My show, the pilot that we just watched was from 1990. And I grew up with this show, and this is one of those shows from Nickelodeon. At the time, in the early 90s, and we've talked about this before, I feel like in the 80s and early 90s, kids programming on TV literally just existed to throw your kid in front of
a babysitter
and entertain them with it has no value. There's nothing in it. There's nothing in it that is like great. There's nothing in it that's teaching your kid anything.
Nothing to make you think, nothing to make you feel.
It's just bright colors and silly voices. And that's most of what Nickelodeon did in the early 90s. Mm-hmm. There were shows like Rocko's Modern Life and Doug and Rugrats. And that's the show that I'm going to talk about from my childhood, Rugrats.
Please tell the people why your mom didn't like you watching this show to begin with.
Because good, nice parents wouldn't call their babies a Rugrat.
We love you, May May. So funny.
It's worth mentioning that eventually my mom would watch this show with us because some of the characters are funny. I'm making it sound like it's the worst thing that's ever been created, and it's not. But it's just not. It's I don't know. It's not worth much now.
It doesn't have much substance.
It has
to
a lot of sentimental value, but that's about all.
Right.
So the show The Rugrats follows protagonist Tommy Pickles, who is a 1-year-old baby boy. He wears a diaper and a blue t-shirt. And his dad, it's actually kind of funny, his dad is like a washed up inventor. Mm. And I think his mom I think she's a real estate agent or something similar. Basically, they're the Zelinskys.
They seem pretty kooky.
Yeah, they're very kooky. And so that's Stu and Dee Dee Pickles. And Stu's dad also lives with them. So it's a grandpa and parents and a little baby boy.
And from what I could see, is Tommy perpetually 1-year-old?
I believe he is between a few months and 1-year-old for the entirety of that show.
Okay.
So, because there is an episode that is Tommy's first birthday, but that's the only time they acknowledge an age, I think.
Okay.
He always appears as a baby with a diaper and a blue t-shirt.
Right.
And he has friends, Chucky, who is a little bit older than him. He's like pushing 2 years old, I believe, in the show. And he's got red, frizzy hair.
His little voice is very cute.
Tommy! Tommy, I gotta find Tommy. He's always stuffed up. And he is a coward. And that's his whole thing. And then there are these twins, Phil and Lil. And that's sort of the gang. Are those 4 babies. And then occasionally, and by occasionally I mean in almost every episode, Tommy's older 3-year-old cousin Angelica comes over, and she's sort of the villain. She is the one who's making life hard for the babies. Mm-hmm. So we were watching a couple of episodes, like Natalie said, and actually we found like we found the pilot on YouTube, and then we found some clips, and then we saw a clip of the movie, the Rugrats movie, and it was the clip of the scene when Tommy's younger brother is born, and Cora saw us looking at that. She's like, I want to see the baby. So we watched that one. And there's this scene in the movie where they've just had a brand new baby whose name is Dill. So that's Dill Pickles. Dylan Pickles. And so they just had a baby. Both of the parents are tired. They're like falling asleep, doing everything they're doing. Like I think Dee Dee's washing bottles and falling asleep in the sink. And then you look over and all the neighborhood babies are at their house.
I said that. I I was like, are these two very, very tired parents with a screaming
4-week-old
newborn?
Yeah, it says 4 weeks later, and here they are with 5 children in the house.
And only 2 of them are their own.
Right.
I was like, who are these kids? And I believe you said they were the neighborhood kids.
Yeah, they're the neighborhood kids.
I was like, where are their parents?
They're all just like best friend neighbors, and the idea is supposed to be that like the parents take turns sort of keeping the kids, but they're always at Tommy's house. They're almost always at Tommy's house.
Uh-huh.
And the grandpa's there, and he's ostensibly like kind of in charge of them sometimes, but he's a grandpa, so
he's always asleep in front of the TV.
And so,
or at least that is what he was doing in the 2 clips that I watched.
So in this show, this is very much the archetype of the kids are so smart and the parents are so stupid.
I feel like maybe that's why my mom didn't like it.
Yeah.
She didn't like that dynamic of the kids or making parents and grown-ups look so stupid all the time.
Because what happens in this show is inevitably all the kids come over and they just dump them in a playpen in this like big gated off room, which to be fair, I feel like a lot of people had that experience as kids. Like their parents are just kind of, you go all play over here and we're going to try and get as far away from you as we can in this other room.
Yeah, it looks like they put up a type of like playpen and set them in there and then literally went into a completely separate part of the house to eat their meal.
Yeah. And they just kind of leave them there, and then inevitably they get out because they have like a little toy screwdriver that they use to pop the hook, and then get out.
These kids are by themselves playing with screwdrivers.
Well, it's a toy screwdriver. And so, yeah, so as I was thinking about Rugrats, it's just that it's so nothing. It's nothing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's people out there going, but I love Rugrats. And here's the thing, I do too, because I watched it as a kid. And so like sitting there watching it, even though I was like, this is so dumb, I was enjoying it because I was like, yeah, I remember this from being a kid. And I remember how silly Chucky is and how Tommy's always has to go in and save him. And Phil and Lil are just kind of there to be the twin comic relief.
So creepy, Phil and Lil.
It turns out you're right. They are voiced by the same person.
Okay.
Yeah, there's just nothing.
I just couldn't. I watched maybe those 2 clips and I was like, I would not be able to sit through this. I wouldn't.
Yeah.
Other than maybe to listen to Chucky talk, because he really does have a very adorable voice.
Yeah, he's really good. So this is okay, let me talk about this. And I don't have all the data in front of me, but there have been several products, like video products that have come from the Rugrats franchise, including like 3 movies. I think they had the initial movie and then one where they went to Paris and then one where they were out in like the jungle for some reason.
And they probably all get lost in Paris and in the jungle because their parents don't know where they are half the time.
Factual. I'm sure that's true. And then they had, I think, 2 spin-off series. One where they were like slightly older kids, and then one called Rugrats All Grown Up when they're in like middle school.
Oh, okay.
And they're all still like together and good friends.
Are they all wearing the same clothes, like
they're wearing like middle school versions of what they used to wear, kind of thing. So and maybe those are good. You know, maybe Rugrats All Grown Up is great, but I didn't watch that because that came after I was a child, and so. All I know is original Rugrats. It has a special place in my heart alongside those other shows that I mentioned before, but it's not the kind of show that now in this day and age you would do that with, where you're like, I'm going to be right here in the kitchen. I can see my kid. I'm just going to like let them watch a show for a minute. For me, it wouldn't be Rugrats.
Right. You mean for Cora to watch?
Yeah.
We don't really want to put Rugrats on the TV.
And it's not because there's anything necessarily bad in it. This is a show that had a lot of those like hidden jokes for adults in it.
I did notice when little Dill Pickles was born, the babies, of course, get loose and explore the hospital, and they go into the newborn room, and all the babies are singing a song about being in the world now.
Yeah.
And there are several mentions in that little song of a baby looking down into its diaper and remarking on something inside of there.
And that's for the grown-ups. And if,
right. It seems like there's a lot of grown-up little hidden things.
but the thing is, like, unlike shows like Bluey, where the jokes for the grown-ups are like parents, right?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
it's where it's a joke, it's a kindly joke between parents. Almost all the jokes for the grown-ups in Rugrats is just also potty humor.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's like, haha, genital jokes.
Yeah.
Or like, haha, there's one time when they're gonna watch a movie and they pull out what appears to be like maybe softcore porn.
Really?
But you can't really tell. And the grandpa's like, oh, that's not for kids. And he kind of shovels it away. And, and it's like, come on.
It was the 90s.
I know. I don't know.
Wow. Yeah. So 2 very, very different TV shows we reviewed for you today.
And the funny thing is, y'all, and this is fine, there's going to be those of you out there who are like, I've seen VeggieTales and I hate it.
Sure.
And that's totally great. And there's going to
Sure.
be people who are going to be like, I love Rugrats and show it to my kids every day, and more power to you.
Yeah.
Because there's no one like set of,
I know.
of people and values, so we totally get that.
We let Cora watch things that other people think are like ridiculous, like SpongeBob SquarePants.
Yeah. So we totally get that. We are not bashing you if you like or
not
don't
at
like
all.
these shows.
This is all our personal opinions, and that's why you have us in your ears.
And so just to remember, well, I'm not going to jump ahead. I was about to jump ahead to our sign off. That felt like a really good spot, but I hadn't done all of our sign off things. I hadn't done our laundry list.
Wow, just simmer down.
I know. So save this moment in time because there's a great reference.
Okay,
that
we'll come back to it.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Not Suitable for Adults. We are on the social media. You can find us there at Not For Adults Cast, particularly on Twitter, but we're in other places as well. So NOT for the number Adults Cast is that, and then also the same thing, Not For Adults Cast at Gmail. If you'd like to send us an email with your thoughts or feelings or a show recommendation, you can always do that. NotForAdultsCast at gmail.com.
If you guys haven't heard, we were on an episode of Quiet on the Set.
Oh, yeah. You've got to go listen to this episode of Quiet on the Set. We talk about Equilibrium.
Yes.
Everyone's favorite Matrix knockoff from 2002.
Everyone's favorite. It's so underrated. I think we decided throughout the episode how underrated it is.
Yeah, it's funny because it's not good, but it is underrated.
Yes.
So,
so yeah, go listen to us on Quiet on the Set.
And follow that show on Twitter. It's at quiet_guys.
Okay.
So yeah, it's a great show. They do sci-fi movie reviews through the years. So they do a lot of like, they'll go back to the 50s, do one from the 50s, one from the 60s, one from the 70s, and kind of do a loop like that. And it's a really, really good show. And so worth your time.
Yeah,
sure.
we had a lot of fun recording.
Okay. So now transport yourself back a couple of minutes.
Okay.
So when we were saying
Sure.
that we're not here to tell you what shows that you have to watch. So even though you're sitting here and you're listening to our show, and we're smart people, but we have opinions. You tuned in for them, and we're thankful for that. But don't forget, we're not telling you what to do here. You are still the boss.
So watch whatever you want.
Okay, bye.
Bye.